What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. All right, moving on to Celtics Wolves. Such an unbelievably entertaining regular season game. Tatum and Ant were just battling down the stretch of the game, talking shit to each other, getting in each other's faces, guarding each other one-on-one. I thought Tatum was magnificent down the stretch in this game, especially in the fourth quarter. It's interesting because there was a lot to kind of look at that was like Derek White was out, right? So Al Horford had to start and close the game, which ended up being a big problem. Anthony Edwards basically attacked Al Horford in overtime. We're going to talk about that. So, like, from the basketball standpoint, it's a loss. There were some issues with the late game offense again, mainly in overtime, just shot selection, a little bit of like your turn, my turn. Like there was Drew Holiday just didn't have it going, and he just co-opted an overtime possession to try to bully Mike Conley to the rim, and he missed the shot. But like that's the thing with Drew Holiday, like he's kind of prone to those 4 for 16 type of nights, you know. So a lot of negative with Boston, but I was so impressed by Jayson Tatum strictly from the standpoint of how well he handled the Jaden McDaniels matchup, because Jaden McDaniels, in my opinion, is the best perimeter defender in the league. That's something that I've kind of come around on over the course of the start of the season. And in addition to that, like the outstanding rim protection of that Minnesota Timberwolves team, for him to consistently kind of get to his spots. He's put on so much muscle. It's another thing we talked about with Sam Vecini, this idea of like Tatum just kind of turning into a bigger and stronger player, and how that has allowed him to not only compete defensively and on the glass, but to dislodge players when he's fighting for position. There were 2 plays, I put both of these on my Twitter feed, where Tatum was able to like drop his shoulder and like bump Jaden McDaniels off and get really quality looks at mid-range jump shots, which are like really reliable shots to go to at the end of games when things really bog down and it's hard to generate openings. So like really, really impressive down the stretch from Tatum as he brought the Timberwolves kind of back into things the Celtics back into things after the Timberwolves went up by 7 or so in the fourth quarter. But then Ant just took over the game in overtime. It's funny because he got several of the same looks at the end of regulation on pull-up jump shots and he missed them, but then he got them in overtime and he made them all. And like a pretty consistent theme. Get into a ball screen and then take advantage of Al Horford being on his heels, either in a drop coverage or in a switch. Now, again, in both situations, Al Horford has to give ground, and that's also in the scouting report. You'd rather concede a pull-up jump shot to Anthony Edwards. He's shooting really, really well. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but in terms of the scouting report, that's just the best option. If you can get Ant to settle, you've done your job as a defensive player. Well, Al Horford has to give up too much ground, and Ant was just rising up into these quality pull-up jump shots over the top, and he just made them all in OT, aside from one kind of random prayer that he heaved up at the very end, right? But what's funny is I talked a lot about what got me excited about this Minnesota Timberwolves team coming into this season. I talked about it with Chris Mannix from here at the Volume. We did a whole thing. I told him I thought the Wolves were going to be a top 5 defense, and he disagreed with me. A lot of people were down on the Wolves in general, but like to me, it's just a simple combination of like what Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Kyle Anderson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, what those guys are capable of as perimeter defenders alongside true rim protection in Rudy Gobert sets the stage for what can be a truly dominant defense. And the Wolves were, they had a 101 defensive rating, first in the NBA after last night, 82 points per 100 half-court possessions. That's first in the NBA per cleaning the glass. Fourth in paint points allowed per 100 possessions. So they're locking down the paint. 62% opponent shooting in the restricted area. That's 6th best in the NBA. They forced the 10th most turnovers per 100 possessions. They have allowed the 10th fewest three-pointers made per 100 possessions. They have allowed the 3rd lowest opponent three-point percentage. They are 9th in rebounding. So they're basically top 10 in every major defensive category. The one area of opportunity is transition defense. They're in that bottom third, kind of in that like 15 to 20 range. So that's the one area of opportunity. Not to be not too shocked by that, just simply by the fact that they're playing a too-big system. Especially with Naz Reid kind of cycling through there. So with 2 bigs on the floor, most of the time you're going to struggle in transition just in terms of foot speed. But they've been really, really good defensively. Now, offense, you don't need them to be great if they're going to be that great on defense. You just need them to be good enough, and then you need Ant to carry you home in crunch time. 18th in offense, that's been good. That's the identity, right? All-world defense, good enough on offense with Ant carrying you home. I told you guys before the season I really wanted to see Anthony Edwards weaponize his driving rim pressure, gravity, whatever you want to call it, more this year as a passer, and it was really encouraging to me to see him make a couple of really good late game reads to Jaden McDaniels on the weak side. There was one on the left wing where he was, or left corner, where he was isolating Kristaps Porzingis and got him to leave his feet on a pump fake, ripped through to the right into the middle, and hit Jaden McDaniels in the shooting pocket for a big time 3-point shot on the right wing. And then there was another one that actually tied the game late where he just drove hard to his right, and Jaden McDaniels was in the corner, and he drew strong side corner help, which you're definitely not supposed to do if you're the Celtics. But again, that's the type of rim gravity that Anthony Edwards has. Easy swing pass to Jaden McDaniels for another big 3-pointer. And so like that to me is a great indicator of just some of the bigger lessons that Anthony Edwards is learning about how to make the game easier on himself. Like, dude, you're a freak. You're one of the best players in the league, and everyone's going to overreact to what you're doing. So if you can weaponize that to make good reads and generate quality shots, it's going to help your team in the big picture. And then it kind of helps you get single coverage opportunities more frequently late in the game for you to be able to knock down shots. Jaden McDaniels, big late game isolation move on Kristaps Porzingis into the lane. Kristaps kind of tripped. It looked like he stepped on Gobert's foot as he was kind of backpedaling into the lane, but that's kind of thing, like you take him off the dribble and get him into traffic where it's a little bit more difficult for him to navigate. And Jaden McDaniels just is really good with that little pop shot, that little kind of short-range pull-up jump shot. He's 7 for 13 this year on catch-and-shoot jump shots and 6 for 12 on pull-up jump shots. So getting some big-time offensive contribution from Jaden McDaniels, and with everything he does defensively, that's really, really exciting.
NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball is back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is celebrating with an unbeatable offer. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down $5 on the NBA. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. You'll start the season with an instant dub. And with DraftKings parlays, everyone's got a shot at an even bigger basketball win. String together multiple bets from the same game or build your parlay across multiple games for a shot at making your payday even sweeter. Basketball's more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code HOOPS. That's HOOPS. New customers can get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code HOOPS. The crown is yours.
Don't miss the action this weekend when the NFL heads to Germany for the Frankfurt games. These games will air on the NFL Network. I'll be watching and stream on NFL Plus. Again, streaming on NFL Plus. For a limited time, Verizon customers can get Netflix Plus, NFL Plus for just $25 a month with Plus Play. That's $120 in annual savings. Plus Play is a platform where Verizon customers can shop, manage, and save on the subscriptions you already have, like NFL Plus. With NFL Plus Premium, you get access to games on mobile, NFL Red Zone, NFL Network, which means you can catch the Frankfurt games and more. Just go to Verizon.com/thevolume to bundle and save before the game. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Again, that's Verizon.com/thevolume.
On the Celtics front, a little bit of an example of what they can deal with in terms of a lack of depth when one of their 5 core guys gets hurt. Not that Horford's not a good depth piece there, but he's certainly a drop in terms of overall athleticism, right? And like no matter who they put in that 5th spot when guys are out, it's going to be someone who's either a really good offensive player with defensive limitations or a guy who's a decent athlete that has offensive limitations. And it ended up being the entry point for Anthony Edwards to target. So it just goes to show you how health is going to be an important factor for the Celtics this year. Really, really encouraged by Jayson Tatum's play overall. Just continuing to play like an MVP. They use him as a screener a lot down the stretch of this game, which I thought was interesting with Drew Holiday. There was a play where he got the ball in a short roll and threw the ball out of bounds. And instead of going away from that action, they just went right back to it. The second time they ran it, Anthony Edwards tagged Tatum as the roller, which left Jaylen Brown wide open in the corner for the 3 that actually put the Celtics up by 3 late. The one that before Jaden McDaniels tied it. It's actually a great example of like, just how easy offense can be for the Celtics when Tatum's involved, and how they don't necessarily have to generate rim pressure through the ball, right? So like we think about Tatum beating people off the dribble, drawing multiple defenders and kicking. But one of the best ways, and we talked about this a lot last year too, but one of the best ways for the Celtics to start their offense is Tatum slipping ball screens, because he's just such a good passer out of that short roll. He didn't even make a pass on this play, but the defense reacted to him, which is what generated the opening for Jaylen Brown out of the weak side corner. So again, like no one's going undefeated this year. It's a tough road game against the best defense in the league and one of the best young players in the league. Celtics dropped this one, but I thought they impressed in a lot of ways along the way.